Hi, this is Jackie Tomlin,
And I'm Ellie Lieberman.
and this is When
When Spirit
Spirit Speaks.
Speaks.
Oh, we
Jeez,
were
that was
close.
really.
We were close.
Ooh, hello, hello, hello.
Oh,
How
hello,
are you,
everyone. Let me
Jackie?
mute the phone here. Sorry about that. How is
That's the
everyone
first time
today?
that's happened.
I'm
I
telling
hope
you.
everyone's well, loving the feedback. Hello to everyone on
Yes,
Jackie's end.
yes. And thank
Hello.
you for all the comments. We appreciate it. We like the feedback. We like to hear from you. We've got a couple of guests that have contacted us, and we will be lining those up soon. So it's pretty exciting. But today we had a few things that we were going to talk about. And one of them is one of the favorite.
Are you okay? So Jackie's having a moment.
Okay, and so y'all did hear that, right? Because my phone is on silent.
Yeah.
Well, ironically, today's subject is the psychics and the paranormal.
Well, yes. So do.
I got nothing. I don't even know how to make my phone make that sound, and it is on silent. So
Weird
let's
things are already
kick off
happening
today's
here in
show.
the
Yes,
When
as we
Spirit
kick
Speaks
off,
studio.
yes. What Spirit Speaks. I mean, it's a show about spirit. You can chime in if it wants to. It will come and zoom in on my camera. So yeah, good times. Good
Weird
times.
stuff has been happening to me, like just in the last few days. It has been a very auspicious experience so far, is the word I'm going to use.
And the more you hang with me, the more auspicious it's going to get.
Yes, I find that when people are around me too, they're like gifts get expanded and stuff. I always wonder what that is. I think it's an energy thing more than anything else. Is it's your vibration, right?
Right, right. And like I said, I've noticed I think spirit has become, I know this may sound strange, has become real comfortable with my YouTube lives. Our, the soul family chatters, that's what they're called over there. And it's so funny because I'll be sitting here and, here are my hands, here are the cards. And then the camera starts zooming in and out on something that's not there. And they're like, oh, hey, Spirit, how's it going? And it's like, it's just been crazy. Like the sound, um, sure
It's like
have to
not your
say,
normal
that
chime.
it is on silent. It's
Yeah.
on
It's not,
silent.
and that's not your normal tone either. That was really weird.
No, no, it's not a sound I would recognize. But anyway, here we are. So,
Um, well, we're gonna talk about stuff that makes me weirded out, which is great because Jackie likes to mess with me in my whole life. Which is psychics and paranormal, and was paranormal today. And Jackie has 10 times more experience than I do with the paranormal, but
yeah.
I've had some pretty weird stuff happen to me. So I'm
Our
gonna.
first show, we had someone show up on your end. If you remember, there was a knock or something. There was a knock
Oh
at the
yeah,
door.
that's right. I was like,
Very first show.
there's nobody there. I used to live, I never even thought about this. So I lived up north in the northeast area in a town that was very small with a lot of history.
Right.
And I rented this tiny little apartment, and my dog would bark in the hallway of my little apartment. And for some reason, it took me like a year and a half to realize that I lived behind the funeral home,
Oh wow. That's
and I couldn't. It was like, in to me, it didn't register because it just didn't register. I'm unbothered by that kind of stuff. And so, but then it started to click because I had a lot of activity in my home, because literally I could look outside my window and see the funeral home. Literally, I could have walked across the little path in the back and been in their parking lot. I was right there. And so I don't know. What do you think, that spirit stays in the funeral home? I mean, these are all the questions I have.
um I do. I do. Matter of fact, one of the weirdest investigations that I was asked to do was a funeral home. And yeah, I mean, I've got the bravest of the ghost hunters, when you walk in there and they're like, run this down with us again. And I'm like, okay, there's one on display in room 3, there's one on display in room 1, and there's 3 back there in the freezer. And they're like, yeah, exactly. That reaction, exactly.
I am stressing out. I
Then
wish you
we
guys
come
could see
across,
my face if you're just listening.
then
No.
I get the radio call, on the walkie. It says, come here. Just come here. And it's a closet. And Ellie, I'm talking, it's a small closet. It's not a
Yeah.
big one. It's a closet.
Yeah.
Okay. And they counted 180 urns in this closet.
What?
And I'm like, well, this could very possibly be the problem. And with meeting with the owners, they were telling me that
No.
people do
No.
not claim their loved ones. They pay for them and then they don't claim them. So there's one funeral director that I appreciate that every year on Christmas Eve, he calls everybody. Merry Christmas, your loved one is here. I mean, and I'm like, can y'all just like buy a mass grave and bury them? And they're like,
This
it's illegal.
conversation is stressing me out, you guys. I can't.
It's illegal. Yes, there is like this is one funeral home with 180 urns stuffed up in a closet, all paid for. And I'm like, can you have people adopt them? Like
Adopt an urn. Jackie.
I thought it was a great idea. They unclaimed people,
Not
like orphans,
responsible for anything
or
that Jackie was
unclaimed
saying.
children. Why can't we adopt an urn?
Oh my God.
Those in support
I
say
would
aye.
not. This is how you guys know that this is an unscripted podcast, because there's absolutely no way that I would have
We're going to start
expected
an
her to.
organization called Adopt a Urn.
Listen, you have fun with that adventure. I will stay cozy here and hold down the fort. I can't. What is wrong today?
I cannot. I just cannot. I cannot. Okay. This is going to bring me to. Y'all, something just popped up on the screen. Ellie and I had a little technical difficulty. I'm sorry. Ellie and I did not have technical difficulty. Something has caused technical difficulty. I got to explain.
That's true.
Okay. I had a radio show and it was CVAPI Paranormal was the name of the show. Now, the name of our group is Central Virginia Paranormal Investigation. So it's the abbreviation, and that's the website. Okay. Every single show, there was a technical issue.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I do think that there is interference.
They would run 5 shows before me with no glitches, and Jackie gets on the air and we have an audio problem. We have a lighting problem.
I love that you're bringing that up.
A connection problem. Then when we go to play my audio files, which they want the audio files, because when I play the audio files, it like spikes the ratings up. Okay.
Sure.
We have problems playing the audio files. They won't play. They skip. They're stuck. And so when I did a local television show, NBC 12 for the July sweeps, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the sweeps or whatever.
Yes.
We did July sweeps, and I explained it to them. I said, look, on the radio show, these files, and for whatever reason, the paranormal is going to cause a production.
And they probably thought you were crazy. You know that they're looking at you like, okay,
we
lady.
Full blown, we are NBC, we are Richmond's biggest, we are Richmond's greatest. And I'm sitting here and I'm watching tonight at 6 and a total lockup with my picture.
This is exactly what happens.
And I'm like, hey, this is the best advertising ever. I was just frozen on the screen with my website.
Listen, Spirit was on your side.
And they're like, Jackie. And I'm like, I told you this.
Yeah.
I told you this. And you hear my phone go off again?
Yes.
I showed you. It's on silent. I'm not touching it. It's over here.
There's an indicator always, like. So I think that electronic interference is probably my number one experience I've had with the paranormal in general, like especially even through like radio frequencies and things like that. Like there's definitely an interruption. But when I'm talking with clients, a lot of my clients who are listening, that you can feel free to comment and tell stories about
Right.
times where we will be talking about something very personal, very deep, and it'll glitch out. The call will drop.
Yes.
Something will
Yes.
happen. Some
Yes.
weird noise will happen.
Yes.
Something will fall
All of a
off the
sudden the
shelf.
phone's dead, radio
Oh,
dead.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Drain batteries.
Yes.
Okay. My battery getting drained. Just crazy experiences. What do you think? This is probably a good question for you. What is the most clear as day experience you've had with paranormal? Like, what made you a super believer? You know, like there was no questioning, no shadow of a doubt in your
Age
mind.
15. Age 15, my grandmother's house. Okay. Built in 1812.
Nope.
Cemeteries in the yard. In the yard,
Yeah.
no what? Cemeteries
Yeah.
in the yard. We were a Civil War hospital. Later in life, we were a funeral home
I would
because
never
cemetery
go in
is
that building.
because the cemetery is in the front yard.
There's
The
never-
display of the bodies would be our living room. I cannot make this shit up. Okay. Anyway, I lived there alone.
It's been a weird day already. It went
I
weirder.
mean, they picked on me as a child because I was terrified of the cemetery at night. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I had the same stuff. Yeah.
Then so what happened was I'm having a sleepover, it's 14th or 15th birthday, having a sleepover, girls over, and it really cool Civil War house, got those giant steep steps that everybody loves to run up to see if they can break their neck. There goes the phone again. So anyway, so we're running up the steps, and my best friend Barbara is leading, and so it's like Barbara, Lisa, me, Julie. It's 4 or 5 of us.
You're gonna just continue to get interrupted. This is the perfect podcast for this.
Perfect. It really is.
Jackie's
People have
level of
no idea.
interruption.
You have no idea. We have crap popping up on the screen. We got my phone going off on
I'm
silent.
glad
Or
it's
some
not
noise I've
happening
never
to
heard.
me, and that I am safe and grounded and clear of any bullshit right now.
Exactly. So we're running up the steps. Well, the one leading is Barbara. So when Barbara stops, we all kind of pile up on each other. And when she doesn't say anything, she looks straight up, and we're looking up, and we're looking at a soldier. And this soldier is standing at the top of the steps looking down at us. Now he's got this scowl on his face. Now let me tell you how detailed he is. He needs to shave. I can see his facial hair.
Oh wow, it's like a clear apparition. Like this is not.
He's just standing there like, glaring at us. And then Lisa says, I can see through his legs. But from his knees down was transparent. You could see the woodwork and the sheetrock and all behind you. And in that second, he was gone. There was no fading. There was no turning a walk away. He was just gone. Okay. I slept downstairs for months.
I would not sleep in that.
I wouldn't go upstairs by myself to get my clothes. I would not go upstairs by myself to get my clothes. Everybody got mad because Jackie is literally taking up residence in the freaking living room. So my dad comes in there and says, well, you realize where the sofa is where they used to display the bodies. I'm like,
stop.
Enough. So anyway, as time went on, they brought up my Aunt Weezy, and Aunt Weezy explains to me she's seen the same man in the same position. I'm not nuts. However, it was 48 years prior.
Yeah.
So anyway, if
I
knew what I knew then, and if I knew now what I knew then, I mean, paranormal happens during the day just as well as it does at night.
Oh, for sure. I just
like
had a client.
In the morning when we read
this reminds me. So, like, full disclosure, guys, I do not have these experiences, nor do I welcome them into my life. I'm good. I have my boundaries. I'm happy to do the thing that I do, little Bridget. But I don't want to see an apparition.
That brings up another subject of boundaries. I do have a very active home with a very strict amount of boundaries.
Yes.
And one of them is do not show yourself. Okay. I know a lot of them are family members, and I get that. and I miss you, but I do not want to get up and find you having coffee at my kitchen table.
No, I'm
No.
not. This is not welcome. Nope.
Not well, and
No.
you're not allowed to break things because they can get a little aggressive when they really need my attention, and they're not
You
allowed.
know, I'm going to tell this story.
Mhm.
And I feel like sometimes when we talk, I get like my own personal downloads of realization that maybe some stuff was more paranormal than I had realized, right? More psychic than I had realized, which is great. I mean, this is why we're friends,
Right,
we can help each other.
right.
So before I moved down to the South, it was actually the day that I started driving was actually Halloween. And so Halloween is always popular and I do events and I got hired Halloween weekend before I was about to move. It was my last event. And it was in one of the first homes ever in Delaware.
Okay.
And it actually had access to the Underground Railroad in the basement and everything. And you pull up to this home, and I took pictures and everything because it was just so iconic. I was on like Washington and Adams Street. I mean, it was really the real deal. Beautiful home, cemetery in the back.
Right.
And as soon as I walked in, I was like, this is going to be an interesting night. I already knew it was going to be, I could feel it. It was like there was static in the air.
Right.
And where I was set up. Now I realize afterwards that I was on in the room that was above where the Underground Railroad would have connected. Okay, so I'm pretty sure under me there was an access point as well. It just had been concreted over and floor had been put in renovations and stuff. I'm pretty sure. I kept feeling like I was falling into a hole. And when I say that, so my back was to a couple of windows and so there was two doors on the outside and that was my exit, right? So when people were coming in to get readings and sit down and I'm pulling cards, I had no exit. I'd have to trample over them or get by them to leave the room. So I had no exit. So something crazy was going to go down. I didn't have an out.
Okay.
And so I was really smart and I just put my phone on audio record. And just in case it was my intuition, guys, I never do something like that.
Right.
I felt like I should. As soon as I hit that record button, the person who sat down was so aggressive with me and so angry all of a sudden. And
Yeah.
I was like, this is going to be bad. I could feel it. I could feel it. So I called one of my friends and I just put it. And it was like, I was just so glad I had him on the phone. It was that serious. This guy went from 0 to 60 irate so bad that I had to call his sister's name to get her to come in. I was screaming on the top of my lungs. He was completely irate. Got him removed. And she was like, I'm so sorry. She was like, I do feel like something in this house attacks men.
Okay.
And
Right.
I was like, I'll just take my check, please. I'll see you later. Have a good night. Gotta go. Like,
You
nope.
know, I can
Thinking
relate
about it
that
now.
to a particular investigation of a plantation house.
See? Yes.
A
Yes. Old.
plantation house, where the doorway was very narrow that went
Mhm.
into this room. Okay. And the guys could get nothing out of the room. And when the women walked into the room, we got
Yes.
moved, like the plants turned over and
Yes.
like that. Well, what we later found out from the owners, the reason that room was narrow, that hallway to the room was narrow, it was the smoking room for men.
Oh my gosh.
Hooped skirts could not fit
It's
in
through.
the
Oh, that
hallway.
makes so much sense.
It was
I
the men's room. So the activity that we could get to generate was when the women investigators went into the room. And I'm like, we're
That
not.
makes a lot of sense. This is what I'm saying is
Yeah.
I know and what's wonderful is there's usually a lot of history written about these properties. And when we're talking about paranormal investigation, you're going to a location that has, some sort of activity. ideally, right? Or
I,
supposed allegedly, right?
right.
So having that history is super helpful. You know, if you think you have activity, I'm grateful. I did know some of the history of the home that I was in, and it wasn't like it was a bad man and his wife or anything like that. But I
You,
think the Underground Railroad, that energy there definitely was like
oh, it's still there. It's still
white
there.
master. You know what I
But
mean? Like
and you touched base on it last week on how you feel the paranormal, how you
you
can
can
feel
feel it.
you can feel it. So this brings me up. I want your opinion on this. Okay.
Oh no.
Aha! Because I am the founder of a paranormal team. We work with several paranormal teams across the country. And often we are sought out for advice or experiences or
Sure.
what now first of all I want to say I work full time as a psychic and the paranormal is my hobby. Okay.
Yes.
But I go into it objectively. I want the scientific proof.
Me
Okay.
too.
I
Yeah.
know what I can prove metaphysically. I know what
Yeah.
I can prove metaphysically.
Yeah.
I want to see what I can prove scientifically.
Sure.
So the only thing that I'm going to use as far as any psychic abilities on an investigation, I can generally tell you if it's a male or female presence, about how many presents are there, and we're going to go from there, and we're going to see if that matches up with what the family stories are. Okay.
Sure, sure. You'd be blind to the
Okay.
information on the property, go in and see what would come through. Sure.
I I am not a person, I know this may sound strange, I am not a person that would recommend a paranormal team go out and find a psychic for
I
their
agree.
investigation. And I'll tell you why. These are some of the stories that I've heard, and I want your opinion on these, Ellie. Okay. So if I have a team, let's say, North Carolina, okay,
Okay.
that wants to come and talk to me about, they bought a psychic in on an investigation and she saw this thing manifest that looked like a werewolf, but then it melted before her eyes. And this happened in the center of the room. And my question was, where was everyone else? And they're like, we were all in
Correct.
the room. And I'm like, and did you feel anything? And he's like, well, no. And I'm like, did you see anything? And he's like, no. Ellie, input, please. Where's your opinion on that?
I mean, what a crock of bullshit.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
sorry,
And this
but
is
the
why
average person,
I do not recommend that people that paranormal teams go out and recruit a psychic. Okay.
I've been
Now
asked
I
before many
recruit
times.
all walks of life. Okay. All walks of life because I
Yeah.
want the believers, I want the skeptics.
Yes.
I have one that with a religion background. I have
A
one
really good
from
team would
NASA.
be loaded with that.
I have
Yes.
one from NASA, a college professor, a state trooper, an EMT. These are the ones that you want on a paranormal team that can give you some diversity and some scientific background, as well as some personal beliefs.
Well, and
Do I
also like
actually seek out
a
someone with psychic abilities? I don't, because one, it's a shady industry. Yes, we're psychics and we're going to call it the way it is. It's a shady industry. But if I am sensing something, my team senses it too.
correct. So
Like I
well,
may sense the pressure change, okay? That I may sense that pressure change and they may be able to pick that up scientifically. But then there might be a couple other in the room that would experience that. Okay.
yeah. I mean, I've been asked a
A
couple of
cold spot.
times.
A cold spot can be detected by other people as well as a thermometer. You see
I'm
what
too scary to do all of that. I'm not doing that. I'm going to freak out before I could ever give any information. I have been asked several times to
right,
go on investigations,
right.
several times, especially where I was living before, because it's just so much old history. And I just have zero. I'm good. I'm good. But when I was asked, I was definitely vetted. You know, like they were watching me and vetting me and things like that, making sure that I was picking up on accurate information that I couldn't Google and stuff like that. But
Right, right.
if you are in a room and you're the psychic person, I would suggest you don't say anything until the rest of the team says something,
Mhm, mhm.
simply because if you've got a bunch, your mind creates your reality in a lot of ways. If I'm like, hey Jackie, do you feel how cold it is, and then you imagine how cold it is, you could get cold. So it's like very hard to discern this stuff. That's why equipment is really important,
I mean, the
tools.
first training and my setup is, one, you gotta know how to pack my equipment and unpack it. Okay. Second, your training begins right here in this house, not looking for the ghost in this house, but it's knowing the capability of your equipment. And each piece of equipment, you can make a false positive.
True.
You've got to be able to have that discernment of a
How do
false
you even
positive
verify whether or
and a
not there's
positive.
paranormal activity? This is like what the skeptic is
Right.
gonna
It's like,
say. Like,
well, when you email me your picture of your orb and say, is this such and such? I don't know. Because when I'm in our investigation, we're controlling the environment. Okay.
yes.
So we know, was the vent on? Was the ceiling fan running? Is there carpet on the floor? Is it hardwood floor? How long has that room been empty since someone entered it? This is the stuff that we know. This is the
And
environment we're
there's
controlling.
light refraction, there's a lot of things that can look
Oh,
like
yeah,
a lot of things.
consecutive,
Mhm.
adjoining camera views are big to us, but in the adjoining camera views, you can't cross your infrared either.
True.
So, I mean, it's a whole lot to it, to get that for us to say this is paranormal, we have exhausted options that people have not even thought of.
Yeah. I mean, it's really big on social platforms to watch these teams, go in and out, go in and out and do these things, and I'm not going to say, platforms out of legality and stuff. Sometimes I'm like, this how can people not see that this is just some BS, like
I
this is
have
some scare tactics.
another question I want to ask you,
I
and
don't want you to ask me questions.
I'm
This
going to
is
ask
not
you questions. I'm asking for your opinion. How's that?
okay.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So, I have a friend of mine that just contacted me. She's actually one of the families that we did a demonic show on her family on television.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And her question to me was, Jackie, we had health issues and, we put them through psychiatric evaluations and everything else. And her question to me was, do you think the paranormal is affecting people with cancer?
It's a really great
Um,
question.
okay. Particularly regarding demonic cases,
It's a good question.
that within time, are these people coming down with cancer?
On a cellular level,
Mhm.
sure. I mean, I used to know somebody, really, really awesome dude, who was a security guard for a very well established psychiatric hospital.
Right.
And we were friends because he had a ton of questions for me. He had finally left that job and got his dream career. And he asked me, he said, have, do you feel like people who have a lot of psychiatric problems maybe are under psychic attack? And I asked him why he was asking me that question first,
Uh,
because I didn't know what it was rooted in, right? Like, was he trying to justify what he witnessed, things like
right.
that? And he said that it was an uncanny amount of people who had like religious delusions of some kind, that it was a high percentage. It wasn't trauma induced or mental illness or
Right.
things like that. It was very much religious of some kind, or thinking that they've been possessed or something of that sort that was diagnosed, etc. And I always thought that that was very interesting. So I have thought about your question before. I
Mhm.
do think that we get sick. I do
I,
think we
I,
can be made sick over
I,
time, for
I
sure.
can say that, for this particular family of a demonic haunt, that there has been two family members, with cancer since that haunt, including myself as the lead investigator. I
Yes.
can also say that, there have been two paranormal investigators currently on television that have had their own experience with cancer, and the third one, actually passed of cancer.
My
So,
condolences.
it was a question that was posed to
I
me.
would love to see the data there, and you know what I mean?
If there
I
is,
can't
yeah,
confirm, like you said, it's my
right, right,
opinion, right?
right.
I can't confirm or deny. From my own personal perspective, I 100% feel like you can be affected on a cellular level from energy, whether that be in a positive light or a not so positive light.
Right,
When we talk about healing and we talk about the power of the mind, it can go in the other direction as well. So if you're getting haunted constantly, you're constantly in fear, you're constantly not okay, constantly worried, and you're aware of being haunted, how much of that does that create cancer in your body? Is it the stress or is it the demonic energy? I don't know. I don't know the
absolutely,
difference. I can't tell
absolutely.
you.
All right, let me give everybody our information before
Yes.
we run out of time. Psychic readings, Ellie Lieberman, be guided by the light.com. Phone number is 818-427-3870. And of course, I am Jackie Tomlin, is JackieTomlin.com. Phone number is 804-731-2302. If you would be interested in calling in to have a psychic question asked, or if you're interested in being a guest on the show, please email us at when spirit speaks podcast at gmail.com.
Listen,
And
Jackie, now my
either
brain is
one of
there.
our cell phone numbers, we will take text messages. I mean, we
Yes,
might
text me if
right
you prefer
away, but
that.
we will absolutely text you back. So I'm asked that quite often.
Jackie, now I'm in my head about whether or not cancer and demonic things. Now my brain is like really thinking about this. I absolutely think that that's possible. You mentioned bringing an EMT on an investigation. I think that's very, very, very wise.
The EMTs, well, one, they have helped us out. We have a whole nother show. It's called the Paranormal Puke. But anyway, we'll get into that later. But
Yeah.
EMTs, officers, anyone that works with death. I mean, my groundskeepers at cemeteries, things like
Yes.
that have had these amazing experiences and all like that.
They're
But
phenomenon. They're really phenomenon.
one of those family members had passed that was involved in that demonic hunt about a week ago, and she contacted me and reached out. We wanted to talk about it, and I told her, I said, it is my personal belief, so I like to hear,
Other
from
people's
another psychic
perspective.
perspective
Yeah, I
on
don't see why
what
that
their
wouldn't
belief
be
is as well.
possible. In my brain it goes, that's absolutely possible. My first
Well, and
instinct.
I also know two psychics that have worked with the paranormal, that not necessarily a demonic, but just with the paranormal in general. Both have had strokes.
Okay, so energetic electric issues, strokes, seizures, autoimmune stuff, um, like very rare diseases, I find runs very much common in these psychic communities. I think it's an energy thing. I think when you are a bridge, you are opening up your field. It's just part of the territory that you enter. As you guys know, Jackie has had major health issues in her life, and I definitely think it's connected to how much she's worked with spirit for sure. Do you feel
Absolutely.
that way? Do you think it's from entering spaces?
At first I did, at first I credited it because I worked so many hours and I give
The
200% of me
the
to
energy
where
that
I
you
am.
put in.
But
Yeah.
then when I got hit with breast cancer, and I'm watching the others that got hit with prostate cancer,
Yeah.
that got hit with throat cancer, and I'm like,
Glandular. Yes. Yes.
I mean, is there
There's
something
got to be
that I
some
can
sort of
say it's not?
correlation.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I would love to see a study done on that. It's definitely
Absolutely.
something I've talked about in the background. Some of the most incredible, gifted, talented people I know are people who have suffered from things like breast cancer, brain aneurysms,
Exactly.
seizures,
Exactly.
clots, things like
Just
that.
out
So,
out of the norm stuff. But
mhm.
Ellie, next week, there's something I want to ask you about because I'm asked this often. Okay. How do you feel about us doing a show of a day in the life of a psychic?
I mean, we can do that.
What our
It
lives
involves a lot of my dog and Netflix. I'm just kidding. Just
I
kidding.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I think people really want to know
Like
what our
what
life
what
is
the
like.
day is like.
Yeah, what an average day is like. And
Sure, like
come get to know
like an
us
actually
because we
fully
are
on
us.
book.
Right. We are actually
Sure,
us. So yeah, I
let's
think
do it.
it's great. Let's do it.
Sounds like a good topic.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay,
everyone.
thank y'all for joining us. Thank you for all your support. Keep those comments coming. We love
Yes,
hearing
that
from
gives us
you,
traction.
and
We
we
love it.
know that you're listening. So yeah,
Yes.
keep it coming. Keep it coming.
Thank you. I'll see you guys on the other side.
Alrighty. Bye.